Welcome, fellow travelers. Welcome to all who have journeyed this path for a while. Welcome to those who are new to the path. Welcome to those who are not sure where the path lies. Welcome to new visitors and to old friends. Welcome to the young at heart, to those of all ages and colors, all orientations and gender expressions, all abilities and cultures and opinions. Know that you are welcome here, no matter what. For this is God's house, and all may enter here. Welcome to everyone. We hope that you find peace and uplift in our worship.
The Bible reading for today is Psalm 119, verses 57 to 64, 73 to 80, and 169 to 176 from the Inclusive Bible. Heth. Did I not say, Yahweh, that my role is to keep your words? I sought your face with all my heart. Give me grace as you promised. I examined my own ways and turned my feet to your decrees. I'll be prompt and will not hesitate in keeping your commands. Though the ropes of violent people bind me hand and foot, I won't forget your law. When I wake up in the middle of the night, I thank you for your just ordinances. I am a friend to all who revere you and keep your precepts. Your love, Yahweh, fills the earth. Teach me your statutes. Yod. Just as your hands made me and shaped me, give me discernment, that I may learn your commands. Those who revere you will rejoice when they see me, because I hope in your word. I know, Yahweh, that your ordinances are just, and that you afflicted me only because of your faithfulness. Let your love comfort me now, as you promised your faithful one. Let your compassion come to me and breathe life back into me, for your law is my delight. Let the arrogance be put to shame for oppressing me unjustly. As for me, I'll meditate on your precepts. Let those who revere you return to me, those who acknowledge your decrees. Let my heart be perfect in your statutes, so that I will never be put to shame. Taw. View my petition when it comes before you, Yahweh. In keeping with your word, give me discernment. Let my supplication reach you. Rescue me as you promised. Let my lips pour forth your praise, because you teach me your statutes. Let my tongue sing of your promise, for all your commands are just. Let your hand be ready to help me, for I have chosen your precepts. I long for your salvation, Yahweh, and your law is my delight. Let me live to praise you, and let your ordinances sustain me. I've gone astray like a lost sheep. Search for your faithful one, because I have never forgotten your commands.
There are psalms for times of deep despair or suffering. Some psalms are perfect for when we're awed by the magnificence of creation. Still, other psalms reflect our shame and regret as we call out to God and beg forgiveness. Gaventa and Peterson note that this psalm, quote, is neither for life's high or low moments, but for the long and steady walk of faith. Keep our steps steady, O God. Keep us focused on your teachings. Now, some have called Psalm 119 boring. Now, I don't know about that, but it is long. At 176 verses, it is the longest chapter in the whole Bible. So long, yeah, absolutely. Boring? I'm not convinced. This acrostic poem focuses on just one topic, the Torah. So it's true there's no character development or developing storyline. It's more like a love song to the Torah. It's more like a love song to God's commandments and teachings. Yeah, I know. You probably need a couple of definitions before we go on. Acrostic means that each stanza begins with a letter of the Hebrew Bible, or the Hebrew alphabet, in sequential order. You know, A is for apple, and then it describes the apple and talks about it. B is for ball, then it describes the ball and talks about the ball. C is for cat, then it describes the cat and talks about that, and so on. So A is for apple, B is for ball. It is a tool for memorization. The psalmist thought what they had to say was important enough to be remembered. And Torah, which literally refers to the first 5 books of the Bible, more broadly speaking, actually means the expectations of God, the law, the word, commandments, rules, decrees, precepts, teachings, instructions, ordinances, promises, statutes. These are all words used to refer to the Torah. The writer of Psalm 119 uses 8 or 9 different words for Torah, depending upon which scholar is doing the counting. Keep our steps steady, O God. Keep us focused on your teachings. Though it would be tempting to say that this psalm doesn't apply in this time of pandemic, we would be wrong to do so. This ongoing time of global trauma is exactly the kind of time in which the daily slog of living can lure us away from the teachings of God and Christ. We can be tempted, for example, to bend the masking or distancing rules designed to keep our neighbors healthy. This is a distraction from love of neighbor. It's also easy for us to get distracted by arguments or differences in this time. And then we find ourselves putting our neighbors down, and before you know it, we're dehumanizing one another. Keep our steps steady, O God. Keep us focused on your ways. Our distractions can be almost anything. So we have to stay alert. We have to stay focused. It can be about whether we worship indoors or outdoors or online for that matter. That's distraction. The important thing is that we worship and focus on God's precepts and God's expectations. Maintaining our own power or privilege can also be a distraction because it takes an awful lot of energy. Being too quick to judge someone else because we don't think they're as woke as we are, that too can lure us away from God's ways. Being so focused on our own wants that we're willing to be manipulative or passive or to circumvent the transparent and formal decision-making processes of groups and institutions also distracts us from love of neighbor, from doing what God commands. Likewise, when we refuse to listen to another family member because we didn't like the way they put the dishes away, that too turns us away from striving for God's kingdom. Now, I'm not suggesting that we move into a commune and live outside of our secular culture, but I also know that our consumerism, with its emphasis on accumulation and perfect bodies and perfect ways of being, that distracts us from following Jesus, from following his teachings and the teachings of God as portrayed in the Hebrew Bible. When we use our fiscal wealth only for ourselves or to get what we want, then we're distracted from God's dreams for us. We cease to follow the Christ. What do our financial choices say about our values? Keep our steps steady, O God. Keep us focused on your instructions. It is so very easy to take our eyes off the prize, God's and Christ's teachings and ways. As we go about the long and steady walk of faith and life, there are many things that get in the way of following Christ and following God. As someone said in our Bible study this week, sins of omission, what we don't do, are just as great as our sins of commission. There are so many ways we can mess up. Keep our steps steady, O God. Keep us focused on your requirements. Writes the psalmist in the first verses of this poem. Aleph, happiness comes to those whose way is blameless, who walk in your law, Yahweh. Happiness comes to those who keep your decrees and seek you with all their heart and do no wrong, but walk in your ways. You have commanded that your precepts be kept diligently. Keep our steps steady, O God. Keep us focused on your word. We are called to live in accordance with God's ways. Of course, the psalmist recognizes their own imperfections and confesses their sins. We also have many imperfections and sins, and we too need to confess to God and to one another. But there is good news here too. We have the Torah. We have God's law and expectations. We have Jesus' ways and teachings. Like the psalmist turns to the teachings and instructions of God, we can do the same. They are the path toward happiness and joy, toward contentment. Hear the words that Jesus himself would have read and known as his Bible. Educate me, Yahweh, in the way of your statutes, and I'll keep them to the end. Give me discernment that I may observe your law and obey it with all my heart. Lead me in your path of your commands. That is where I'll find joy. Draw my heart to your decrees and not toward selfish gain. Turn my eyes away from looking at worthless things. Make me alive in your way. We claim to be a spiritual people who gather in community for support and growth, and who do justice because that's what God requires of us. Well, if deep spirituality, if true community and passionate work for justice is our calling, is what we claim that we are, that means we focus not on what the church can do for us, because we're the church, but on becoming the people God created us to be. Keep our steps steady, O God. Amen.